Well, today's guest is a writer, a broadcaster, a podcaster, and a regular on shows such as QI, Celebrity Gogglebox, and This Morning. A former MP and government whip. His many books include the best-selling poetry anthology, Dancing by the Light of the Moon, and the international bestseller about spelling and punctuation, Have You Eaten Grandma? His new book, Prose and Cons, combines the brilliance of the English language with the beloved institution of BBC Radio 4's Just a Minute. It's a pleasure to welcome Gyles Brandreth. Hi, Gyles.
It's so good to be back with you, Ryan.
It's been a while.
Well, I think it was in Dublin that we last
That's right, that's right.
All the best British authors are actually Irish.
So it seems.
That is how it is, you know?
Well, you're here, for those who aren't watching this and are simply listening to this, they can't see that your jumper is emblazoned on what is a budget day in the United Kingdom. With what words?
Well, I thought I'm the Chancellor of the University of Chester.
Yes.
It's a wonderful university in the northwest of England. I was the MP up there. And indeed, by pure chance, my daughter is now the MP for part of my old constituency and a bit of the rest of Cheshire. And I thought this is a week for having a Chancellor in your studio.
Yes.
So, given we don't want to talk about politics, I thought I'd come as the Chancellor of the University of Chester. But I also was, when I was an MP, at the Treasury.
Oh, you were? Okay.
So I know how difficult it all is trying to make it add up.
I always thought there's always a bit of mischief about you in terms of language, but also this showbiz type of things. And I wondered, did politics bore you?
No, it didn't bore me, but maybe I didn't take it as seriously as I should have done. I remember once standing at 11 Downing Street, which is the home of the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and looking out of the window upstairs, I was with the then Chancellor, who was Norman Lamont.
Oh, yes.
I served under Norman Lamont and later under Ken Clarke.
Yes.
And I nudged Norman because we were of an age, and he was at Cambridge University at the time I was at Oxford University. And I said, isn't it incredible? I said, here we are in Downing Street, you're the Chancellor of the Exchequer. He didn't think it was at all amusing. He took himself quite seriously.
Yeah.
And well done him, he took the job seriously as well.
Okay, is it funny though how I can see you meet contemporaries and some just took it and take it all so seriously. And they lose the lightness of touch along the way, which I think is a terrible shame.
Well, there was a Prime Minister at the turn of the 20th century, was it Arthur Balfour, who said, nothing matters very much and most things don't matter at all.
Yes.
Got to keep it all in perspective.
Yes.
I had an interesting interview with Tony Blair once.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, how did you survive for 10 years? It's not easy to be a Prime Minister for 10 years. And he produced a little card from his wallet. And on it were written the words, stay standing up. And I said, what's this? He said, when I became Prime Minister, the security people gave me this card to remind me that if there's a crisis, don't fall over. We can't catch you. If you're on the ground, we've lost you. But as long as you're standing up, we can get you and get you to safety. Yeah. And he thought, this is actually a very good advice for politics. If you can stay standing up, most of the winds blow over you.
Yes.
So stay standing up.
I like that. There's a movie director whose kind of, I suppose, credo was, after years and years of being in the trenches, making movies with all the great actors, and all, you probably know where this is going, but he said, no one knows anything. You know what I'm talking about.
I do know. Nobody knows anything. In fact, he began his book with that line.
Is it William Goldberg?
It is, William Goldman.
Goldman. That's it, Lord of the Flies.
Absolutely. A great man.
Yeah.
My favourite saying by film director, Billy Wilder.
Oh, yeah.
Funny man, brilliant man, Some Like It Hot, all those great movies.
Yes, yeah.
But a friend of mine met him when he was in his 90s and making another picture. He said, how are you getting on? But he said, I'm getting on very well. But a word of warning to you, don't waste your 80s. He felt he'd wasted his 80s.
That's great confidence.
But he's in my little book.
Yes, and I wanted to talk
I'll tell you why,
yes,
because he's funny.
Yes.
Do you know what a telegram is?
I do, yes. Yeah,
you do know what a telegram is.
Thank God. I'm sorry to say I do. I wish I didn't, but I do.
You look young. Young people don't know what a telegram is.
No.
I have to explain to them. It's like a text, except it used to come, on a little piece of paper, and it was delivered. You telephone the message in, it was delivered to your door.
So like, war began, stop, don't come home, stop.
Exactly. Well, I have two stories to tell you about telegrams. One concerns Billy Wilder, who went to France in the 1950s to make a movie at the time when the bidet, you familiar with a bidet?
Yes, for the derriere.
For the derriere. A bidet, a piece of French bathroom furniture.
Yes.
He went to France, and the bidet had become very fashionable in America. People wanted a bidet. My wife and I, we still have a bidet at home.
Okay.
Yes, and we do avocado colour.
Yeah, well, of course. So
it's a period item.
I think that's all come back again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, anyway, his wife wanted him to have a bidet. So she sent, when he was in Paris, she said, go out, get a bidet. We must have the first B-Day in L.A. And he went everywhere in search of this B-Day, could not find one. There'd been a rush on the B-Days. So he had to send his wife a cable, a wire, a telegram, and he did. It read as follows: unable, find B-Day, stop. Suggest headstand in shower, stop.
Very good. I love that. And that's it. That's the telegram.
That's the telegram.
Yeah.
Because the book, Prose and Cons, just a minute, you give me a subject, that's the idea.
Yes.
To do with words and language, which is my great love. And then I have to talk about it in the book for just a minute.
Yeah.
And one of the subjects, and it was done like the real game. The publisher sent me anything to do with words and language. So they'd send me telegram, and then I'd have to write about the telegram without repeating that word. So you can then call it a cable or a wire or an alternative.
I love that, yeah.
But in America, they used to have singing versions of this thing, which I will, for your sake, still call it a telegram. And I went to a party during my gap year, and it was a lady's birthday, and the telegram boy arrived wearing his little outfit, little hat on the side of his head, on the bicycle with his telegram. And she said, sing me the telegram, because they used to sing celebratory telegrams in the States. He said, I don't want to sing the telegram. She said, it's my birthday, you will sing the telegram. And he said, no, I won't. She said, you will, it's my birthday, you sing. So the poor boy stepped forward, opened the telegram and sang, tra-la-la-la-la-la, your sister Rose is dead. True story, I was there. Now the challenge for me when writing about this in Prose and Cons, the English language in just a minute, is you've got to obey the rules of just a minute.
Yes.
No hesitation, no repetition, no deviation.
Yes.
Well, there's no hesitation and there's no deviation because it's about telegrams, but repetition. Tra-la-la-la-la-la doesn't work without that bit. So you're repeating la-la. So you'd be challenged for repetition.
You would.
So this became a really difficult book.
I can only imagine.
I love the English language. And the reason I love it is the richest language in the world. At least 500,000 words in the Oxford English Dictionary before you get to technical terms. The French. I don't know if you have many listeners to your show in France, but I'll speak this softly.
Yes.
And in a friendly way, they have fewer than 100,000 words in their language. We've got more than 500,000, fewer than 100,000, and that includes le weekend.
What about Latin? I mean, Latin is so responsible for... Latin trump, if you'll excuse the word, the English language.
Latin, well, of course. Well, no, it doesn't now trump. Latin is a smaller language, as is Greek, than the present English language, because the English language is like a mighty river into which all these other languages have flowed. So our language includes many words of a Latin origin, and also words of an Anglo-Saxon origin that are more Germanic. So you get, and you can tell the difference between them. I mean, the Latinate words will be longer, more fruity and flowing. The more earthy Germanic words, so you can usually tell their origin.
Yes.
But that's why it's the richest language in the world. A word like bungalow comes from Hindi, I think. It certainly comes from India.
Yes.
The geezer comes from Iceland. So different languages have brought us different words.
And because you had empire, a lot of words were imported and came overseas and came in on boats and, from different cultures around the world.
Thanks to one of the great good things about empire was that the English language spread around the world. Yeah. And if you'll pardon the expression, the English language is now the lingua franca, to use a Latin phrase, of the world.
Yes.
In fact, there are more people now who speak English as a second language than speak it as a first language.
Okay.
So around the world, it is the international language. And you are right. Just as English food now contains cuisine from everywhere, I mean, we love...
Even the word, yeah.
Indeed, yes, you're right.
In a restaurant or a cafe.
We love Indian food. We love Chinese food, even though a lot of that seems to come from California and not China. We love Japanese food.
Yes.
And now our language includes words from those countries as well.
Yeah, it's enriching, isn't it? Isn't that the whole experience?
It is enriching. I mean, it's a mongrel tongue.
Yes,
which is fantastic. And I love playing with words.
Yes. So it's punning and, or you talk about in Pros and Cons about spoonerism and the Reverend Spooner. I mean,
Well, I'm the Chancellor of the University of Chester. But this week, graduates from the University of Oxford are electing a new Chancellor there.
All right.
I'm not one of the 68 candidates, but there are a lot of people applying for this post. Warden Spooner was the head of my old college. which was New College at Oxford. He was the person who was allegedly got up and, mispronouncing the words or getting them in the wrong order, announced in chapel that the next hymn would be Kinkering Kongs their titles take, instead of Conquering Kings. So he would, you will leave term, you will go down by the down worm, the down drain.
Yes.
He would, down drain, that's it.
Yeah.
He would mix up words. Shakespeare has a character doing that. Mrs. Malaprop in Sheridan's play, The Rivals, is a character. So playing with words and language is fun. And I like verse and poetry as well. Punning, I adore. I've got a cat who regularly eats brie, camembert and cheddar so that the cat can sit by the mouse hole, literally, with bated breath.
Very good. Okay. Yes, I see where you're going. So, I love that.
I love that, all that kind of nonsense. Don't worry, Ryan.
Go on.
Don't worry if your job is small and your rewards are few. Remember that the mighty oak was once a nut like you.
You see, this is it. That's the kind of stuff.
It's fun.
It's
and
great
the
fun.
idea of the book, my wife said to me, who's the book for? And I said, it's for everybody. Oh, shit, that's very useful. People can give it for Christmas for people they don't like. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, it doesn't mean people you don't like. But there are people in your family, not that she meant our sons-in-law, but there are people, you think Christmas coming round, what am I going to give to the son-in-law? We like him. He's been there for many years. But it's difficult to know what to give to the son-in-law, the sister-in-law, or the father-in-law, somebody at work. Well, this is the kind of book you can give to those people.
And it's also one that you can return to again and again and say, I didn't know. I love that. I didn't know that. And it's great humor. There's the George W. Bushisms are in there. And it covers a multitude, really.
Oh, is it one of his? The trouble with the French is they don't have a word for entrepreneur.
I think that's it.
It's too good.
It's too good.
It's too good. Who's your favourite writer in terms of wit?
Well, I've always loved the writing of Roald Dahl because he used to create these crazy words like scrumdiddlyumptious or I also like the darkness of in a kid's book as well. I think he always understood that kids were smarter than they were ever. They were underestimated.
Well, how was he with you? Because he was a bit difficult with me.
He was promoting the. There you go. And they're in. And he was promoting a readathon, a charity readathon for multiple sclerosis. And somebody knew I was a fan as a kid, and they brought me in to say hello. And I opened it, hello. And the door opened, and of course I was a kid looking up at this, what looked like the BFG. He was very tall. But yeah, I think probably potentially tricky customer on occasion.
I travelled on a long train journey from Paddington to Cornwall with him.
Did you?
We were both authors with the same publisher. It was Penguin. And I tried to make conversation, not a good idea. Well, it's a long train journey. So quite rightly, I think he shut me down right at the beginning.
Well, that's interesting because he has a short story and it tells the unexpected called Galloping Foxley, where he's on a train trip with a guy.
No.
I know.
Okay. When was this published?
Well, it was, I can't remember the year, but the story is he's looking at the guy and he's going, that guy. Now, it's not Roald Dahl, it's a short story. He said, that guy was the rudest. I hated him. He was a bully. He treated him. And he goes into all this detail of how cruel this other guy who didn't recognize him was. And there's a twist in the tale, which I'm reluctant to tell you on air because
I want to read the story.
You want to read the story?
I want to read the story.
Okay, and we'll come back and discuss it next time because I like a twist in a story too.
But you see, Roald Dahl is one of those geniuses, like Lewis Carroll, who give new words to the language.
Yes.
It's interesting. P.G. Wodehouse, wrote the Jeeves and Worcester stories.
Yeah, of course, yes.
He's one of the people who gave most words to the English language in the 20th century.
That's amazing.
I think more than James Joyce.
Well, we'd have to have a language off at some point because didn't Shakespeare, we could hear all day quoting what he gave to the English.
What about Samuel Beckett, one of your great Irish
great
writers? I met the fellow, the actor, recently. Well, he's died, but I met his family when I was in Dublin. David Kelly, an actor. Do you remember David Kelly?
I met David Strumpet City, and he was in the Willy Wonka film, actually.
Great actor.
Great actor.
He loved Beckett. He knew Beckett, I think.
Yes.
And he appeared in Crab's Last Tape,
right,
which is a monologue. And he did so well, and he treasured the review he got when he appeared on Broadway in Crab's Last Tape.
Yes.
The headline in the New York Times for David Kelly's performance in Crab's Last Tape by Samuel Beckett, the headline read, "At last, the crap we've all been waiting for."
Well, Let's leave it on a Beckett quote. I can't go on, I must go on. I'd love to keep going with you. Gyles, what a pleasure to see you again.
Great to see you again.
There's the book, ladies and gentlemen. That's Prose and Cons, the English language in just a minute. As you said, it's and your wife is quite right. It's for everyone, but not that you don't like. It's for people that you love, who love language. Word nerds like ourselves. What a pleasure to see you.
Good to see you, Ron. Onward, upward.
Always.